Xiaomi's next-gen flagship phone. I've never seen a company change less than Xiaomi has here. They've adjusted the numbering on their phones to call them the 17s. They've shifted their naming structure to Pro and Pro Max, featuring a very familiar-looking camera plateau design. Now, clearly, this is a marketing trick. When you think about the iPhone 17 Pros, that you also think and maybe even come across Xiaomi. Put these phones side by side, it draws attention to the really unique things that Xiaomi's doing that no one else is. Xiaomi's camera plateau is also a full-on second display. Looks almost intentionally like a knockoff iPhone, right? With the naming and the design. And to be fair, even the user interface, like the display is bright and super high-end. The borders around it are every bit as thin and even as other top phones. Every time you press things and click buttons, the haptics are phenomenal. Very satisfying experience to type and navigate. This Pro over here is a pretty tiny phone, right? It's got triple cameras on the back. It's got not one but two displays. How big of a battery? 6,300 milliamp hours. That's a 25% bigger battery than the iPhone 17 Pro Max and even at the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra. And so the Xiaomi 17 Pro Max, 7,500, 50% bigger than those other phones. And because it's achieved using a silicon carbon battery with the highest concentration of silicon so far, it's not made the phone any thicker or heavier. It's actually lighter than the iPhone 17 Pro Max. Okay, fine, but they have had to compromise on the performance to get to this. These phones have 16 gigs of the fastest RAM I've ever seen on a phone. They've got the fastest storage, and they're basically the first phones to have the new Snapdragon Elite Gen 5, which is the chip that will power most Android flagships next year. It is firmly ahead of this year's crop of Androids like Samsung's S25 Ultra. It can get quite hot on the sides, but not once have I noticed that actually affecting sustained performance, so at least it is effectively getting heat away from the chip. The phone's fundamentals are crazy good, but that's what makes this magic back screen all the more interesting. The Xiaomi 17 Pro and Pro Max are not one-off gimmick phones. They're not part of a sub-brand. They're not niche concept devices that are only going to be released as a test. These are Xiaomi's mainline 2025-2026 flagship phone. They will most likely release in all their regions. The one launch that they wouldn't want to be adding a potentially expensive to produce, potentially gimmicky toy to, that Xiaomi are either A, using this as a very expensive piece of marketing, because they know that once someone considers their phone, they will become impressed by all the other things that it does, or B, that they are actually confident that the second screen is the future of the smartphone. We have seen rear screens before, we've never seen them like this, because this rear screen has the exact same display characteristics as the front screen. It's got the same 3000 nits of brightness, the same 1 to 120 Hz refresh rate, the same touch responsiveness, the same cover glass, doesn't feel tacked on. And the fact that Xiaomi has heroically pre-applied a screen protector to not just the front screen, but also the back screen. But as beautiful as it may be, no one's catching up with the latest Mr. Who's the Boss videos on the 3 inches between the cameras. What can you do with this that you would actually want to do with this? So level 1, I guess, is personalization. Xiaomi were telling me that a big part of the appeal of this phone will be the ability to express yourself like never before. So you've got a whole load of different clock faces, and this is already pretty cool. You've got really intricate mechanical ones, you've got simple ones that you can recolor yourselves, and then even this one with a step counter built in. So pretty similar to a smartwatch homepage. And speaking of smartwatches, this stretch face feels like it is literally taken straight from Apple's source code. You've got pets that kind of interact as you touch them, but these are also really high res and surprisingly not that tacky. Like one of them is this really awesome butterfly carp that can actually swim behind, in front of, and even through the current time. And then if you don't like any of those, you can build your own. You can choose whether you want to clock or just text and to change the color, the font size, the thickness. Then with the background, it's not just a pre-selected gallery, you can also generate with AI. And I've never seen it done like this. This lets you turn any image into a realistically animated video. I've fed this thing all sorts of absolutely terrible photos of things, but each time it comes back with something that is shockingly usable. Such an excessively extra piece of hardware that you need to justify it. So far, I'm impressed. Whatever you sell on this display, it's going to spend 99% of its time dim like this. And it's only when you tap it that you wake it up. And you've got a music player, which honestly I think looks stunning. Playing music, you want to control it, but you don't actually want to be on your phone. You can pin things. So let's say you needed to remember to buy milk. You can pin the note for that as 8-year-old. They have made it pretty convenient because you can even just circle things and the phone will extract the text from that thing and create this permanent note. It feels like every company now has added some sort of second space to their phone software. TV small updates like Dynamic Island on the iPhone or the Now bar on Samsung. And clearly, Xiaomi are trying to make the second screen, their version of this. So they want this to work with all their meal delivery apps and the flight tracker apps. But right now that's all quite limited because it's not launched globally yet. When you're out to dinner, you can stick your phone down so that you're present, but knowing that if someone calls you or texts you that you can still see it. The camera experience, which does also involve this rear screen, is oh my god. Okay, so the cameras on this phone, I wouldn't call them a breakthrough in themselves, but they're really good. The photos it takes are actually pretty much always as detailed as the iPhone 17 Pro Max. Incredible dynamic range, though it does do something very strange with my skin tone that even if I disable every beauty setting I cannot get rid of. The ultra-wide camera is this tiny little reject at the bottom, and it's kind of like you'd expect, not particularly good in low light, but it keeps up during the day. And the zoom is really powerful. A little heavy-handed on the AI image enhancement when you zoom in a lot, results aren't impressive. Here's the thing though, when you've got a set of cameras that are already really good compared to other 2025 phones' rear cameras, then that is going to completely obliterate other phones when you compare it to their front. Three-dimensional and depthy, the Xiaomi shot looks here compared to the iPhone's brand new revised front camera. Because if I'm using the camera on my front screen and I want to turn it around, and swipe. And then when the camera is active on this rear screen, the front screen switches to now media swipe, which straight away almost completely eliminates the accidental presses problem. You can even game on the second screen. Xiaomi have actually gone as far as to create a completely bespoke case that is a working controller for the phone that is wirelessly powered by the phone to be able to game on this sub 3-inch display. And even the controls feel really good. They've even built bespoke tutorials designed around the buttons Xiaomi's using here. It's this tiny little screen, but the game looks and runs fantastic. I'm so in awe, while also knowing that I will never ever actually play like this. I'm nearly convinced by this back screen.